Mr. Torres.
Mr. Stanton, in February of 2010, the City Council passed a 5-year 2% food tax. There has been public discussion that this food tax should be rescinded immediately. What is your position on this, and specifically, how would you handle the losses in food tax revenues for the general fund and various voter-approved propositions that could result in reduction in support of transit, parks, reserves, police, fire, and human services?
Yeah, this is an important issue. This issue has come up at many debates. Mr. Gullett and I have actually debated 30 times, I think 32 times, including after the election. This is often a common subject matter. I actually don't agree with how the food tax came into place. I think Mayor Ward made a mistake in having that tax passed so quickly via the City Council. Anytime we asked for, when I served in the council for 9 years, if we ever needed a revenue increase, we went to the voters. When we wanted to do a public safety revenue increase, we went to the voters. When we did a Parks and Reserve initiative, we went to the voters. So I don't think it was done in as transparent a way as it should have been. And that's my commitment when elected mayor to do a process like that in a very, very different way. I think the food tax should be repealed. And the difference between Mr. Gullett and I is that he wants to repeal it immediately without regard to any of the consequences. I want to make sure that the public is fully informed as to exactly what the consequences would be of that. We've had 30 debates, and I've heard over and over and over again how the loss of food tax will be paid for by his pension reform plan. And we just found out today that Mr. Gullett's pension reform plan is actually going to cost taxpayers more money. So there actually will be no savings there. I think we need a little more honesty with the people of our community. Thank you so much.
Mr. Gullett.
I am for immediately repealing the food tax. and we have the money. The money is already in the budget right now to repeal the food tax without negative consequences to the services that we have. And when Greg says that my pension plan is going to cost more and that the money is not there, that's not accurate. What I've said is that I have a reform plan, and that reform plan does eliminate the double pension, which is about $40 million. That double pension can be used then, $20 million of it to repeal the food tax, but it also can be used to make a transition to a 401k process. And when I said in my pension reform plan that we're going to transition, it's going to be a slow and methodical transition. It does cost money, and it is going to be important to do that properly. But in terms of the food tax, the budget that we passed this year's budget, was 5% higher than last year's budget. What happened, though, was that this year's budget, or last year's budget, was actually higher than the money that was actually spent. And so this year's budget is 10% higher than last year's actual expenditure. The need for the increase was only 5%. That's $115 million. There's $115 million in this year's budget that is not accounted for and can be used to repeal the food tax immediately. So right there, the food tax is $50 million. That still leaves $65 million. That's the problem. We have a shell game going on with our budgets, and what we need to do is zero base that budget so that we can all agree on the numbers and start at zero, because that's something we can